Michele Bachmann, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much, Jan Mickelson. A privilege to be on WHO today.
Well, I think Norwegians should control the universe, don't you?
Well, of course they should. I'm 100% Norwegian, and Norwegians, I think, can do a fine job of controlling the
Are you
universe.
going to go see that movie, Thor, when it comes out?
Absolutely. And I'll take all the children as well.
If we ever lapse out of the current religion we hold.
That's right.
Those Norse gods were kind of cool while they lasted.
That's right. It'll be fun.
Well, you're in town to do a lot of things. You went to and chatted with the homeschool crowd yesterday.
I did. The niche crowd was wonderful. A huge crowd of people from all over the state of Iowa gathering to talk about homeschooling. And our family actually homeschooled our children as well for
all
a few years.
24 of them.
We had a lot of children.
You looked pretty well preserved for having 24 kids.
Thank you. I'll be 55 in a couple of weeks. My husband will appreciate that you said that. We have 5 biological children. The oldest is 29 and a physician. The youngest one will have her last year of high school this year. And we've also been privileged to raise 23 foster kids in our home. They're all grown, gone, and launched. And now we're saying sayonara to our last biological children. So after 29 years of parenting, it's a whole new world.
It must have been a pretty large house. Was it?
It was a big house, but we had bunk beds too. So that's what large families do.
You had barracks.
We had barracks. That's right. But it was a lot of fun.
Well, so why'd you do this? Why did you?
Well, both my husband and I have broken hearts for at-risk kids, and we also started a charter school for at-risk children as well. And it was really a wonderful experience for us, for our biological kids. They learned they weren't the only people in the world, and it was great, I think, for our foster children as well. So it was a wonderful experience.
Did you therefore develop any homeschool attributes? I mean, did you homeschool yourself a little bit? Or?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I homeschooled the children, and my husband did. We made sure also that for our 5 biological children, we taught all of them how to read using phonics curriculum before we sent them to school. Later on, we sent them to Christian school, and they all have done well. Our oldest is now a physician. Our second one is finished with his graduate program, and so our kids have all done really well. We're grateful for them.
So you happen to remember which phonics program you used?
The very first one we used was Sing, Spell, Read, and Write.
That's still out there.
It is still out there. CBN University put out that curriculum.
I remember that because it's one of those multidiscipline things. You'd say it, you'd sing it, and you'd chant it.
Yes.
It just gets ingrained.
I could probably sing the song right now, but
ahead.
I won't.
All right.
Our kids remember it, though. We still laugh about it. We'll be in the car, and we'll start singing the apple, ball.
Why did you want to do this president thing? In fact, I guess maybe the more basic thing is why did you want to become a congressperson first?
Well, I had been a United States Senator. Just a little by way of background, I'm former federal tax litigation attorney. I have a law degree, but I have a postdoctorate degree in tax law. I spent a number of years litigating hundreds of cases in United States federal tax courts.
As a prosecutor?
Yes.
You were one of those?
I was a good guy. I wore a white hat. Truth, justice, and the American way. But what I did see along the path was how devastating high taxes are on farmers and families and individuals. And I can't stand high taxes. My husband and I are self-made people. I drove a school bus and had other jobs to get through college. And my husband, who was a dairy farmer and a cattleman, did the same thing. We put ourselves through school, and we started our own business. We have 2 clinics, and we employ about 50 people. And so we've seen the nightmare of Obamacare through our clinics, and also just as a tax lawyer, I've seen the devastating impact of taxes. Then I worked in the Minnesota State Senate as a state senator for 6 years. I went to the United States Congress. I'm very concerned about private job creation and economic growth. That's my primary issues that I'm concerned about. But I'm also interested in judicial activism. And that's one thing as a former fighting Iowan, I'm so proud of the fighting Iowans who successfully booted out 3 judges in this state who were not retained because they decided as black robe masters that they knew more than the people of Iowa. I'm very proud of them for doing that because when I was in the Minnesota State Senate, I carried the constitutional amendment so that the people of Minnesota could define what marriage was as one man, one woman. So I was proud to do that. My husband are lifelong pro-life advocates as well. We've helped women who are unwed mothers, and so we've reached out to people both, I think, on a compassion side, but also on an economic side as well.
One of your friends, one of your favorite people, one of the people you work with on a day-to-day basis, Congressman Weiner.
Oh, yes, Anthony Weiner of New York.
Guess what he did today, as
Tell
we
me.
suggested? He suggested he wants an exemption from Obamacare for New York.
I want a waiver, too. I don't know about you, Jan. Let's see if I can get one. You can get one.
Don't you find that ironic?
Well, of course.
One of the biggest supporters of Obamacare now wants his jurisdiction to be exempt.
Well, hypocrisy runs large. Our current Treasury Secretary, Tim Geithner, didn't pay his tax bill. We find out that Claire McCaskill, the senator from Missouri, didn't pay her tax bill. A lot of these liberals love to raise our taxes. They just don't want to pay them themselves. And on Obamacare, the first-year anniversary of which was yesterday,
right,
we find out that the American people can't stand this law now today more than ever. 62% of all Americans, Jan, not conservatives, not Republicans, 62% of all Americans, that's reasonable, fair-minded Democrats and independents, they want nothing to do with the government takeover of health care. And so Anthony Weiner is one of those Democrats who says he doesn't even like the bill he voted for.
Well, so what are you guys prepared to do about it? The next question is, the Obamacare people that put this legislation together anticipated just about everything that the other side could do. They anticipated losing Congress because they knew how unpopular and stupid this was. So they've put a funding stream into the conversion process. They even, is talking about judicial issues, they even put in the actual bill itself, exempted various provisions of it from judicial review 8 different times. It's not subject to judicial review.
And that's why the cheeky. American people should be absolutely outraged, and they are about this bill. People deserve
the money
better.
that they put in there, though.
Yeah, the $105 billion. This is something that came to my attention several weeks ago.
And you and Congressman King have been working on this.
Congressman Steve King. And thank you, Iowans, for sending us Congressman Steve King. He and I have been working together to get the word out nationally. People now know that Barack Obama, Pelosi, and Reid stuck this $105.5 billion in the Obamacare bill, and recognize you won't find one radio show, one TV show, or one newspaper article discussing $105.5 billion. This isn't a small amount of money. You could run the state of Minnesota for more than 3 years on that amount of money. The state of Iowa for probably 4. This is a lot of money, and they just decided they wouldn't even bother to tell your listeners they were going to spend that money. This is outrageous.
You have the votes to pull the plug on the funding?
We're working. We're trying to work with Republicans to get them on board with us.
Why would you have to work with Republicans?
Well, because what it would mean is a showdown with President Obama. We'd have to go toe-to-toe, eyeball to eyeball. Isn't that why we
sort of sent you guys
Of course.
there?
And Congressman King and I say now is the time to have the fight.
Is your leadership the biggest
Obama.
impediment over this? Is Boehner a problem?
We need to get the Republicans on board. We are talking to leadership.
Is that a yes?
We are talking to leadership. We're telling.
I'm not really trying to get you in trouble, but
thank you, Jan. I do appreciate your sensitivity to that. The most important thing right now is that we try to save the country by getting rid of this funding.
What do you want to do to Boehner? We know people who know people.
What I want to do is to be able to get them to start fighting President Obama and defunding Obamacare.
A little known fact: the Norwegians have a mafia.
Ooh, and we are tough people.
Not really fast moving. It's the Lefse and Kumla effect.
That's right, and the lutefisk.
Yes,
but no, it's the lutefisk that gives us energy.
All right, so
so what we're trying to do is we're trying to attach the defunding language to either the continued budget that we have to fund of the government or to raising the debt ceiling. We're saying let's make sure that we change the arc of history by defunding Obamacare. So tie it to something that's important that President Obama would fight over.
So
we need to have this fight because we'll win. If we have the fight, we'll win.
So every time they try to move forward, try to advance their cause, you're going to stick this in their face.
You bet we will. Yeah, we have.
Or any other orifice.
We haven't won yet. Congressman King and I haven't won yet, but we're fighting. We're not going to give up. We're tough Iowegians.
But you're saying you're having to convince the Republicans on this. I mean, that's kind of disheartening, though, because you guys just had a new class, 60 fresh bodies in there, and you're still resisting the old guard, some of whom are in your own party.
Well, and remember, of the new freshmen that came in, we had 87 new freshmen total, and of the new freshmen, over half have never served in a legislature before. And so this is a lot of information that they're getting all at once. And so we're doing everything that we can right now to tell them. So we have to fight on every front. We have to make sure here in Iowa that the Iowa legislature doesn't put into place these new exchanges. We need to fight in the courts, and we need to fight at the federal level to defund Obamacare.
Governor Branstad has voted, at least sent a letter of support of the lawsuit against Obamacare being implemented.
We're so grateful. I just came from the Capitol. I just met with Governor Branstad a few moments ago.
To what degree can a state just say, thank you for sharing, but we're not going to do that?
Well, two states already have, Iowa Texas. Let's hope it's Iowa. Florida and Alaska have said no thanks, no dice to the money at the federal level.
I thought Texas did too. Maybe I'm wrong.
People can go to my Facebook site, Michele Bachmann. I have an article up, and it talks all about the states and who's in and who's out. Two states, Alaska and Florida, have said no thank you to the federal government. We're not going to build these exchanges for you. If your listeners have ever seen that movie Bridge Over the River Kwai, that's where you had the British cooperating with their oppressors, the Japanese.
Initially.
And they built the bridge, and eventually they realized the bridge was going to actually lead to their demise. We can stare down the federal government by not building these exchanges in our states. What's President Obama going to do? Bring federal marshals in and force our state legislators to build these exchanges? We don't need to do that.
Don't say that.
Don't give them any ideas. These people are capable of anything.
Well,
I'm here to say
they sent all kinds of people to Wisconsin.
Well, yes, they did, and of course that was at BarackObama.com where all of them were sent from initially. But remember, we are the people. We are the owners of this country. We deserve better than this, and I'm not giving up without a fight.
The people who showed up in Wisconsin said, this is our house. This is our house. They said it over and over. This is our house. You had, in essence, the employees claiming ownership of the people's house.
And of course, what we know is that it's the citizens of the state who are the owners of that house, and the citizens are speaking up and saying, This is enough. We just want our country to work again. That's all we want.
Just an interesting sidebar. You mentioned the judicial activism and holding judges accountable. Up in Wisconsin, there's a movement on those on the part of the state employees to vote some of the judges out of the Wisconsin court to punish Governor Walker. They had nothing to do with any of this. They just, hey, we have a judicial vote. Let's go punish.
Let's take it out on them. Well, what we're seeing is that that very liberal progressive side, they don't take no for an answer, and they fight. What conservatives have to do is also fight. And I commend the Tea Party here, and really all the Tea Party is anyone who opposes the Obama-Pelosi-Reid agenda. If you oppose that agenda, you're Tea Party. And we saw the fire and verve and vibrancy of this last election here in Iowa show up at the polls because people said, we're mad and we're not going to take it anymore. We want to take Iowa back. That happened all across the country. And I think that the effort that Iowans did to oust your judges that took away the people's voice will be replicated. I don't think we're going to see them be successful in Wisconsin because the people want to get their budget under control in Wisconsin.
According to Gallup, you're up to one of the top people in the, well, I guess, are you in? One of the news sources said that quoted you as saying, I'm in. Are you in the race, or is this official?
I'm in to make sure that Barack Obama is a one-term president, just like we were all happy that Jimmy Carter didn't have a second term. I'm in for that, and I'll be making a decision about whether or not I will be a candidate by sometime this summer, because I think it's important that a candidate participates in the Iowa straw poll.
Gallup puts you right at the top. You're right after Huckabee.
Yeah, we just read that ourselves. That's
kind of amazing.
That's very interesting news. It really is. But I'll tell you, I think that people are really ready for a change. People are upset about what they're seeing. The economy is collapsing. We're seeing the world all around us be in regional instability.
And you're in the intelligence
East.
Community.
I am.
You get briefed all the time?
Yes, we do.
Can you tell anything that that I should know that we don't know?
No, I can't tell you what I hear behind those big closed doors. It's kind of like if anyone everyone remembers Get Smart. It's kind of like that. You go back there and learn a lot of this
How much more
information.
intense, just in a generic sense, how much more intense is the real world than the rest of us know?
Well, the regional instability is a reality that we have to deal with, and we are extended now in Iraq and also in Afghanistan, and now to extend military presence in Libya, when part of the problem is we have no idea who the opposition is in Libya. It could be Al-Qaeda in North Africa. It could be Hezbollah. It could be Hamas. So we know the devil that we have in Gaddafi. We don't know who the opposition is. So to put the United States in when we don't have a clear strategy, a clear objective, a clear goal, we don't even know clearly who's even running this operation, whether it's multilateral forces or the United States.
They have a political steering committee.
Well, it's, we were all...
That's what the French called it.
Well, isn't that interesting? Then we were told that the Arab League was in, now they're out. The whole thing is a murky mess. We were in Congress last week. The president could have consulted us. He waited until we left town on Friday, and then he committed our troops over the weekend.
Well, so
with
you as an attorney,
yes.
with I don't know if constitutionalist attorney, but is what he did constitutional?
Well, isn't it ironic? Here we had the president railing about President Bush committing troops without going to Congress. We were there. It isn't like we didn't know about this instability the last 4 weeks or so, and he chose not to contact us.
It's interesting. Kucinich called for the impeachment of Bush.
That's right.
He's actually said, hey, if Obama's in the same category, is that the next step?
The American people have a lot of questions. The president will have to answer them.
Michele Bachmann, thank you for
Jan
joining us this
Mickelson, it's a
morning.
privilege. Thank you.
And she'll be participating in various functions around the state. In fact, on the Steve King thing this weekend. And I'll see you then. See you tomorrow, friends.